Good day, dear friends. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful journey of storytelling. As we embark on this adventure together, remember to hit that subscribe button. This way you'll never miss out on our enchanting tales filled with wonder, wisdom, and warmth. With every story, we promise a journey that will ignite your imagination and touch your heart. So are you ready to explore new worlds with us? Now sit back, relax, and immerse yourself in the magical world of stories. On a sunny day in a quaint little farm, a mother duck sat on her nest, waiting for her eggs to hatch. The day was filled with the scent of wildflowers and the soft rustle of leaves, as a gentle breeze whistled through the trees. Our story begins in this idyllic setting, where life seemed to be in perfect harmony. The farm was a place of peace and tranquility, where all creatures lived in unison, each playing their part in the grand symphony of life. In the heart of this serene landscape, nestled by the edge of a glistening pond, was a proud and expectant mother duck. She was no ordinary duck, mind you. She was known far and wide for her kindness and her beautiful glossy feathers that shimmered in the sun. For days and nights she had been sitting patiently on her nest, her heart filled with anticipation. She dreamt of the day when she would finally meet her little ducklings. The thought of their tiny beaks, their soft feathers, and their innocent eyes brought a warm smile to her face. She would tell them tales of the farm, teach them to swim in the pond, and watch as they took their first flight. Oh, how she longed to hear their first quacks, the sweetest symphony to any duck mother's ears. And then, the moment she had been waiting for finally arrived. One by one, the eggs began to crack. The sight of her little ducklings emerging filled her heart with joy. Their tiny quacks echoed across the farm, announcing their arrival to the world. But then came the turn of the last egg. It was slightly larger and different shape than the others. The mother duck watched with bated breath as it began to crack. And finally it hatched. But what emerged was not a duckling like the others. It was different. It was unique. The farm fell silent. Every eye turned towards the last born. The mother duck looked at her youngest one, a myriad of emotions playing on her face. And then the last egg hatched, but what came out was not what anyone expected. Out of the last egg hatched a duckling who looked quite different from the others. This little one wasn't like his siblings, all fluffy and yellow. He was bigger, with a longer neck and grey feathers that stood out against the golden hues of his brothers and sisters. From the moment he stepped out of his shell, he was the odd one out, the peculiar duckling in a family of what seemed like perfect little yellow ducklings. The mother duck, though surprised, tried to accept him, but the rest of the pond was not as welcoming. The other animals on the farm were quick to judge. The chickens clucked their disapproval, the cows mooed in astonishment, and even the farm cat, usually so aloof, raised an eyebrow. The other ducklings were no different. They quacked and giggled, pointing their tiny wings at him, their laughter echoing across the pond. The poor little duckling didn't understand. After all, he was just like them, wasn't he? Just a duckling who wanted to swim and play and enjoy the warm sun. But the constant rejection was too much to bear. He tried to fit in, to quack in their rhythm, to waddle like them, but it was clear he was different and there was nothing he could do about it. The more he tried to blend in, the more he stood out, and the more he stood out, the lonelier he felt. His heart ached with the desire to be accepted, to be loved, to be just like the others. But no matter how hard he tried, he was always the odd one out, always the one left behind. Tired and dejected, the little duckling decided to run away from the farm. It was a difficult decision, but he felt he had no other choice. He needed to find a place where he could be himself, where he wouldn't be judged for being different, a place where he could finally fit in. The little duckling, all alone, had to face the harsh winter. Picture a world bathed in white, where the air is sharp with cold and the ground is covered in a blanket of snow. This is the world the little duckling finds himself in, a world that seems too vast and too cold for a small creature like him. As the days grow shorter and the nights longer, he finds himself missing the warmth of his mother's feathers, the comfort of his siblings' company. He longs for the warm summer days when he could swim in the pond without a care in the world, when the sun would shine brightly and the grass would be green and lush. But those days are gone, replaced by the harsh reality of winter. The duckling has to learn quickly how to survive. He learns to huddle for warmth, to forage for food under the thick layer of snow. It's a difficult task, one that requires perseverance and determination. But the little duckling is strong, stronger than he ever knew. He pushes through the hardships, through the cold and the loneliness, with a resilience that would make anyone proud. His days are filled with struggles, but also with moments of beauty. He watches as snowflakes fall from the sky, each one unique and intricate. He sees the world transform into a winter wonderland, a sight that takes his breath away. He finds joy in the little things, in the quiet moments of solitude, in the crispness of the winter air. And as the days pass, he starts to change too. His feathers grow thicker, keeping him warm against the cold. His body becomes stronger, more able to withstand the harsh conditions. He becomes more self-reliant, more confident. He may be alone, but he is not lonely. He is a survivor. And then one day, as the winter ends and the snow starts to melt, he sees his reflection in the water. He is no longer the awkward, clumsy duckling he once was. He has grown, changed, transformed. He looks at his reflection, at the strong and beautiful creature staring back at him, and he can't believe his eyes. As the winter ended, he saw his reflection in the water and couldn't believe his eyes. With the end of winter came a surprise for our little friend. As the frosty curtain of winter lifted, the world began to bloom anew. The bare trees swaddled themselves in green, and the icy ponds warmed under the gentle caress of the sun. This renewal of life was not just evident in the world around, but also within our little duckling. Now, imagine a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. It's a magical process, isn't it? A creature once bound to the earth evolves into a being of grace and beauty, free to paint the sky with its vibrant wings. Our story takes a similar turn. Our duckling, who was once the odd one out, found himself changing, evolving, transforming. Over the course of days, he felt different. His feathers, once drab and dull, were now replaced by an elegant coat of pure white. His wings, which were once weak and unsteady, felt strong and powerful. His neck, which he used to hide in shame, was now long and graceful. One day, while gazing at his reflection in the pond, he was taken aback. His image in the water was not of an ugly duckling, but of a magnificent swan. It was a moment of revelation. The duckling was not a duckling at all. He was a swan, a beautiful, graceful swan. His heart filled with joy and surprise. He couldn't believe his eyes. He stretched his wings, felt the wind beneath them, and for the first time he felt a sense of belonging. It was a transformation not just of appearance, but also of spirit. He was no longer the odd one out, but a creature of elegance and beauty. His journey from being an outcast to discovering his true identity was a testament to his courage and resilience. And so our little friend, once thought to be an ugly duckling, had become a beautiful swan. He was not ugly, he was just different, and that made him special. His transformation was a surprise not just for him, but for everyone around him. The ugly duckling was, in fact, a graceful swan. And so the story of our ugly duckling comes to an end. But as we close this chapter, it's important to reflect on the journey we've just witnessed. This tale isn't just about a duckling's transformation into a swan, it's about so much more. It's about patience. The duckling didn't become a swan overnight. It took time, it took seasons to change and for the duckling to grow. Just like in life, things don't always happen immediately. We need to be patient and trust that our time will come. It's about self-belief. Despite the teasing and the loneliness, the duckling never stopped believing in itself. It held its head high and carried on. In our lives too, we'll face challenges and doubts, but we must never stop believing in ourselves. And most importantly, it's about understanding that true beauty comes from within. The duckling was always beautiful. It just took time for its outer beauty to match its inner strength and grace. We can't judge someone's worth or beauty based on a single moment or appearance. So let's remember this tale, not just as a story of an ugly duckling, but as a lesson in patience, self-belief, and the true nature of beauty. Remember, it's okay to be different, to grow at your own pace, because in the end, everyone has their own unique beauty and strength. Until next time, stay beautiful, stay strong.